This week on Previews World Weekly, we take a look at some of the art from the Spawn universe, Jack Black channels his inner Avenger, and we discuss toxic fandom and if we can fix it. It's all happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
Happy Kong versus Godzilla Day, Previews World. you watch it with those faces, Ashton. You watch it with those faces. This is a celebratory moment in history, and we're gonna treat it as such.
I can't wait for one ridiculous over-the-top undefeatable monster to face another ridiculous over-the-top undefeatable monster.
Yeah, so you get it. Okay, we're both in agreement here. This is great. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day. Two reminders. One, your weekly reminder that Free Comic Book Day is happening at your local comic shop on August 14th. August 14th, mark your calendar. It's not in May this year. The other announcement is that we have announced all of the titles, so if you head to freecomicbookday.com, you can see all of them and start yelling like me.
There you go. But yelling through enthusiasm, I would like to point out. Yeah. Aaron Ruiz, long live Joe Field, our master. Okay, nice. Thanks, dude.
I'm behind that. Yeah, Joe Field is the founder of Free Comic Book Day. Support.
He didn't like pass away or anything, did he? Like,
no, he's okay. He's great.
Okay. I probably should have asked that on camera, but at the same time, I was like, wait a minute, did something happen? Like, that just seemed a little bit out of the blue, but yes, he is the founder of Free Comic Book Day. So shout out to Joe Field. Sorry, what was the other comment we had that just popped up a second ago? Jorge Ramos, who is the Fandom Menace? Well, you will find out, sir. You just got to wait about 40 minutes and then we'll talk about it. But hopefully we'll entertain you all the way through. You know what? Actually, matter of fact, I'm going to entertain you right now. Ashton, you ready?
I'm ready. You're not hardcore.
No, you're not hardcore.
Unless you live
hardcore. Unless you live hardcore. But the legend of the rent was way hardcore. That did not work at all. Okay, we just lost so many viewers right now.
Sorry, guys.
Why are we singing School of Rock, right? Okay, Jack Black did a thing this past week, and it was weird and entertaining, just like Jack Black himself.
Yes.
Ashton, you've seen this, right? Like, you've seen him as the Avengers, basically. He did a Hulk, he did a Thor, and he took a picture of him in an Iron Man helmet with no shirt on, of course, because that's a shtick. But yeah, Johnny, can you just throw this up? I don't think I can even properly explain the insanity that is this. Like, it was just random.
Like, I love those blocks. I had those blocks when I was like,
hold on, my personal favorite's about to come up. Here it is. This one right here. Jump up, grab the plane.
No, I love when he's got the little like smoke candles and he's dancing.
There you go. That's amazing. This is peak Jack Black. I keep thinking that like one day someone's going to find out something problematic about him, or we're just going to be like, no, that's not surprising at all.
I mean, this is what he spends his time getting up to. So like,
yeah. I think we were talking about this yesterday in our pre-production meeting, but like, I'm not sure if Jack Black is handling the quarantine well or not handling it well at all. I really can't tell based off of this. It's amazing. Here's the Thor one, which is amazing too, and I love the dirt bike too. Just peak Jack Black, like, absolutely.
There's a moment where he hits like the meanest twerk possible in water. It's very sexy.
Oh, really? Oh. Oh God, I'm sorry. I probably should have said put the women and children to bed before showing everybody that. But I just wanted people to see that if they hadn't seen it already, because insanity. Just pure insanity. And then like, it's exactly on brand for Jack Black, as Ashton would say. So there you go. He also did like a Five Nights at Freddy thing that we are going to talk about a little bit later, because dovetails into something that Ashton wants to talk about. But I just want to bless you with Jack Black's pasty stomach for a couple of minutes there. So there you go, guys. You're welcome.
Oh my God.
Anyway, what's in comic shops time? Ashton and I have our picks for this week, so we're going to share them with you, and then we're going to give you a glimpse of some of the big ticket items that are dropping this week as well. Here we go. What's in comic shops? And before we dovetail into this, I just want to remind you guys to like, follow, subscribe if you haven't been turned away completely by the first 6 minutes of this show. Just hit us up on Previews World. Hit me up on Previews World and hit Ashton up on Free Comic Book Day. And that's across the board: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Free Comic Book Day has a TikTok. Previews World does not, but you can also get some great content from there as well. And what we're about to show you guys, you can experience on previewsworld.com/new releases. So we're going to give you a glimpse of what's coming out this week, but the full list is right there on previewsworld.com/new releases. So definitely play along and take a look at it now while we talk about the new stuff. Actually, I'm sorry. What was that comment at the bottom? Was that more Jack Blackness? Yes. Now I can't get that out of my head. You're welcome, Thomas. This is what we're here for. We live to serve. Ashton, what is your pick this week? What are you looking forward to from your local comic shop?
So my pick is Autobiographics, which is a collection of graphic autobiographies. It's from Dark Horse Comics, and basically what it is a compilation of these graphic autobiographies that's meant to show the effectiveness of comics as a medium for personal storytelling. And this is something we've talked about on the show before a lot. You know, comic books are so much more than just your superhero novels or your superhero comic books, or the things you think of when you think of a traditional comic book. You know, the range, there's so much more range, and this is exactly what that's meant to capture. And so it showcases kind of a big range of creators that have done autobiographies as comic books or graphic novels, and it kind of runs the gamut of your living legends, your people that are popular right now, and your up and comers. So just a shout out to people that I know everybody loves. This will include Will Eisner's autographic biography, and then Stan Sakai's as well, and then a few others.
Nice.
So I think this would be a good thing to grab, kind of get some history of comics, if you will.
Yeah. You know, I'm always down for the history of comics. There's always, there's already so many, it's interesting just because we have definitive comics historians, the guys like Les Daniels and even Fred Van Lente, who have taken the time to really document comics. But the thing about comics is anyone can make them. So you get into these weird, these offshoots, in any direction, not just superheroes, not just crime comics or romance comics, but just all sorts of interesting directions. So there's always something to learn, which is actually really cool. And that's what I love about this medium. So I will definitely pick that up. Thanks for the heads up, Ashton. That's really cool. My pick this week is actually not a comic, which is actually kind of weird for me. I normally don't do that. But I'm gonna go off the reservation a little bit, and I'm gonna select the Dream Gears Retro Micro Arcade Player. So there are multiples of these. So I don't know if you remember this, Ashton. There used to be a TV show back in the 80s, and I was actually probably a little too young even for it at the time to actually properly remember it, but it was called Silver Spoons. And it was about this rich kid.
No recollection of that.
You don't remember this at all? But
I was also not alive in the 80s, so I'm sure.
I mean, that's also fair. That's also fair. I'll give you an out on that one. Okay. If you want to pull the I wasn't born yet card, fine. But in Silver Spoons, I think the character's name was Ricky Short. The guy was named Ricky Schroeder. He had an arcade in his house, and I remember even as a kid, I was like, real life goals. I want an arcade in my home. One day that's going to become a reality. And it turns out, look, thanks to Dream Gear and thanks to previewsworld.com/new releases and your local comic shop, you can do that today. Oh, is this it, Johnny? Is Johnny showing you have multiple arcades?
This is the arcade from Silver Spoon.
Yeah,
Wait,
you know.
I am vaguely aware of this. Yes.
Yeah, you remember these, John. You remember this, Johnny, right?
Yeah. You and I are the same age.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I just thought this was absolutely cool, and there are many, so they won't take up a huge ton of space. I personally am looking forward to the Pac-Man and the Mrs. Pac-Man. Maybe I'll mess around with the Contra one as well. But they're $30. They're going from $35 to $50, and they're available at your local comic shop. Let them know if they don't have it already. Let them know that they can get it. And look at it. Fits in the palm of your hand, which used to be the way they talked about Game Boys, but now the way technology is, every game can fit in the palm of your hand. So I just thought that was cool. And I am a little pressed for it, so I'm going to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So there you go. So yeah, shout out to Dream Gear. And I'm curious if they're going to keep making more of these, because it'd be really cool to get maybe a Street Fighter, you know what I mean? Or, something like that. Maybe a Mortal Kombat. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, I'm curious what else, if they have more in store for us. That'd be awesome. But that's only, of course, some of what you can get at your local comic shop. Anime is here, and she's going to show you what's at comic shops this week. And these are the highlighted items. But of course, go to previewsworld.com/new releases for more. But here's a little bit of the big ticket stuff that you can pick up this week.
What's up, Previews World? Mia here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new titles in stores this week. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of March 31st, 2021. For more info on these titles and others, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases.
All right. And if you haven't figured it out by now, yes, PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. We've said it 4 times already in the last 12 minutes. So I won't hit that home too much. But you know what else you can get at your local comic shop? There's a new previews catalog out. And one of the items inside is actually Spawn Universe #1. So let's just jump over to news real quick because I thought this was cool. There's a new some artwork from some interior art finally from this book. So let's check this out. So yeah, here's the cover for Spawn Universe #1, which is already cool in itself. But then on top of that, we're getting some cool artwork from Jim Cheung. And this is coming from ToddMcFarlane.com. So here's the deal. Like, contained inside Spawn Universe's #1 will be 4 different stories: Spawn, She-Spawn, Medieval Spawn, and Gunslinger Spawn. And each story will be highlighting different Spawn characters from past and present, as well as the introduction of new villains. The acclaimed artists working on each of the chapters will be Jim Cheung, what we just showed you, Brett Booth, who's currently doing X-Men Legends, another fan favorite. He'll be doing the Gunslinger Spawn chapter. Stefan Segovia, another fan favorite, who will be doing the Medieval Spawn chapter. Marcio Takara, who will be doing the She-Spawn chapter. Spawn Universe #1, a 50-page one-shot issue, will launch on Wednesday, June 30th, with a retail price of only $5.99. Given the current pricing of other, there's a little shade here. Given the current pricing from other comic companies, this will be one of the comic's most outstanding value of the year. Some serious shade there. Todd McFarlane not beyond throwing shade. Okay. McFarlane's vision is to create a new exciting superheroes and new major villains over the next year and beyond. And this is available to pre-order right now at your local comic shop. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to PREVIEWSworld.com/catalog, or you can just run to your local comic shop now and they're like, "You there? I want to pre-order this now." So pre-order it for me because it's coming out in June. And that's just for you. So there you go. Ashton, did you check out the Invincible yet on Amazon?
No, I haven't gotten a chance, but I have seen the trailer and it looks really cool.
It's cool. You know, look at this. Yeah, this is awesome. Okay,
the animation is insane on this.
It is. It's actually pretty quality. So this is actually one of those books that, you know, people have been telling me for years to read, and I've never read it. And I finally watched the first episode. It runs about 40 minutes. First episode's good. First episode's solid. Yeah. And it's actually intriguing enough to make me kind of keep watching. And like, I feel like the real litmus test here is I was dead tired when I watched this, and I got through all 40 minutes. So that in itself is a feat.
Yeah, stayed conscious. Good job.
You're right, exactly. I stayed conscious during the entire 40 minutes. So, and even conscious, like sometimes there's some shows I wouldn't even give 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm turning the channel. Yeah. So, but you said something yesterday that I wanted to call you out on, because you complain all the time about how Sam Jackson is in everything.
Yeah, right? Is he not? He is.
I mean, he is in everything. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not, right? But, matter of fact, I was watching Kong Skull Island. I actually forgot he was in that movie the other day.
I hate this.
And on top of that, like halfway through, like not even halfway through the film, a quarter through the film, he goes, "Hold on to your butts," which actually is a line from Jurassic Park, which I thought was kind of funny given the subject matter here. Right. But you don't extend this disdain, I guess, to J.K. Simmons, who's actually the voice of the dad on this show, who's also in everything. Can you explain this, please?
Okay, first of all, I am more than willing to extend it to J.K. Simmons. He can have that too. I didn't realize, it didn't dawn on me. Like, I don't know. I guess because he's not someone that's quite as like abrasive, for lack of a better word, that it's not so in my face. But like, yeah, 100%. Dude is in everything. You can't. You can't change the channel without seeing him in a State Farm commercial.
No, you can't. This is absolutely true. I think that's always like the apex of like, you know, how overexposed are you, right? Are you doing commercials when you don't have to? Like that's some serious exposure there. Like I actually forgot.
That's like Matthew McConaughey. I'm like, he like why are you in like vending machine commercials?
Right. Right. He was in the Lincoln it was like in the Lincoln commercials and whatnot. Matthew McConaughey, I feel like he was going to get to that point, and he, like, I guess maybe someone told him to scale back a little bit, but he was getting very close to being J.K. Simmons, Samuel Jackson status. So absolutely, but
I will concede that point. J.K. Simmons is incredibly omnipresent.
Yes, he is. He like,
and that just fits because he plays Omni-Man in the show.
Oh, actually, that's funny. That's a good point, actually. You know, for a second there, I thought Ashton was actually making a joke, but I realized she didn't watch the show, so she didn't get that joke.
No, in fact, we had some people checking in online. Thomas Filio says, "Is that J. Jonah Jameson?" Yep, that's J.K. Simmons. Yes, it is.
Yep. And Commissioner Gordon.
And of course, the State Farm guy, as Ashton said. So, yeah, Troy, you said you watched the first episode.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. What did you think?
There's two more.
I didn't realize that at the time. I thought they were doing one episode per week, so that's cool. I'll actually watch the next one then. Yeah,
watch the next two because like I started watching it, and you know it's a father-son tale, and you know the son's like waiting to get his superpowers, and then he does, and you think it's going to be this big bonding thing between the father and the son, and then it takes a hard left turn and gets very dark. It goes into the realm of like the boys territory, which is also so yes. It's again like you. I said this before the show started. This is a book that I've never read before, but it's always been on my radar, and it's one of the things I've always wanted to pick up, especially because I love Kirkman's run on The Walking Dead. So
yeah,
I think this is going to be like the kick in the butt to like make me go out to my local comic shop and pick up like an Invincible trade paperback or two just to like read up on the character. And the cool thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, but when you're watching this on Amazon Prime, if you hover your mouse over like the screen, like some little like tidbits of information will pop up that show not only the actors who are playing the individual characters, but they will also have little bits of information that will say like this scene is taken from issue number 1 of the comic book. So there's
cool.
all kinds of like little like pop-up video type things that you can find out about the background of the show and how it's based on the comics.
Okay, cool. All right, I didn't know that. Actually, I'm actually going to check that out too because I love that stuff. And when they represent the comics properly, like I'm just like, okay, you're speaking my language now. Like I can't hate on this. Like you know what I mean? Actually, I forgot to mention too. As much of a Walking Dead fan as you are, Ashton, it is Robert Kirkman, and then the dude who played oh man, I'm about to blank on his name, Glenn. Yeah, on Walking Dead, like he's the voice of the main character, Invincible. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a selling point. I'm definitely in.
And in fact, there's a lot of actors from Walking Dead that make voice appearances in there. Because again, when you're hovering over the screen in Amazon Prime, the actors pop up, and it's like there's Michael Cudlitz who played Abraham. Yeah. I think Sonequa Martin Green is in there as well. Nice. So there's several people from like the Walking Dead. Yep, Thomas Filio is saying Stephen Yeun, Y-E-U-E-N, no G, but same guy. But yeah, he plays the main character, Mark, aka Invincible. But yeah, it's a good show. It's off to a good start. So I'm looking forward to watching it, and I'm looking forward to picking up the trade paperback at my friendly local comic shop.
There you go. Actually, Johnny, before you go, come back, Johnny. Come back.
I'm back.
Speaking of Walking Dead actors, did you guys see the Suicide Squad trailer?
Yes.
I am actually I really want to see this movie.
I was really confused when Pete Davidson showed up.
Me too.
Like, all right.
And like, I don't think the movie makes a 1-to-1, but like a 1-to-1 connection. But he's the werewolf dude in the movie, actually, that they kind of show a glimpse of early on. But yeah. Okay. But yeah, that cast is insane. And 5 minutes. I know that we're kind of over Harley Quinn in general. At least the three of us are. Sure. But like the little bit that she was in, I actually laughed, which is actually kind of a feat when it comes to Harley Quinn at this point.
I mean, I can't deny that Margot Robbie is impeccable casting. It's just
she's right.
It's just too much of her.
Yeah. No, she's right for the role. Like, absolutely. But it's James Gunn, so he's being a Marvel sleeper agent making a DC movie before he jumps back to Guardians of the Galaxy. But and I mean, I definitely got Guardians of the Galaxy vibes watching it. But at the same time, and I'm also usually not big on rated R, like superhero movies or whatever, but this one I was like, yeah, I could kind of see this. This kind of works. I'm kind of down with this. So yeah, I know people are already calling for the director's cut of the first Suicide Squad movie to be released now, and I'm like,
my God, nothing will fix that.
I'm kind of with you on that one. I feel like that movie's a mess regardless, and I like David Ayer. I like David Ayer movies. Like David Ayer gave us the Fast and Furious, for better or worse, you know. So, but at the same time, like, yeah, I'm good on that. I'm actually more curious about this and what they and this approach moving forward, where maybe they just, you know, maybe Viola Davis is like the only constant in all these movies, and the team just switches up every couple of films. I'm kind of into that.
The thing I love is, like, I saw this a couple months back when they were first, and like the very first teaser trailer came out, and there was like an internet pool that was being started, like, you know, which of these Suicide Squad members is going to die? Like, place your bets now.
Right. I think that's the best way to. I think that's a great way to like approach this. Like, you know, they were swinging so wide for like you know, big actors and like, you know, trying to make this an all-star cast. But I'm like, no, sell the idea that they won't make it. Like, people will love that. It's morbidly entertaining. Like, I absolutely love that. So yeah, let's. I'm with it. I'm down for it. I'm all about it.
Just real quick before we move on, I want to get into a couple of neglected texts that we've haven't gotten to.
Yeah. What we got?
Jojo Mon Returns 91 says, "Oh dear, Invincible. Saw 3 episodes of this. Didn't like it, to be honest.
Oh wow,
it was not good in my eyes, and felt it was like ripping off a lot of other comics. Sadly, watched The Tick more. Said The Tick on Amazon Prime was better. Oh, okay. I haven't seen that either, but that's another one that's I want to get around to watching. Let's see here. Monkey Jeebus. I love that name. Clancy Brown is in it. Invincible. He plays the Hellboy type character, I guess, like a demon detective." And Satsuru says, "So it's kind of like Sky High meets The Boys." Yes, it is.
I immediately got Sky High vibes about it. Like, the son wants to live up to the parents' hype or whatever, and his powers never show up, or they show up late, whatever. Yeah, Sky High.
And one more. Neil Fix says, "My guess is Polka Dot Man won't make it." See,
I think that's a safe bet.
I was a safe bet, but at the same time, I want him to make it because that actor is David Dastmalchian, who also did the comic book. It was the Count Crowley.
Yeah, Count Crowley. Yep.
Reluctant Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, Natasha interviewed him for us, and
Reluctant Vampire Werewolf. I completely forget, but yeah, Count Crowley. Look that up. That's a great book to read. So, but yeah, I'm rooting for David Dastmalchian just because he's a great guy, and I want him to make it through a movie.
Valid.
Epic. I feel like he does die a lot in movies, though. I kind of feel. Actually, that would have been a great question for Natasha to ask him, like when they did the interview. Like you die almost as much as Sean Bean in movies.
Yeah, I know he's going to be in the new Dune movie, and I can't remember his character's name, but he dies in like the first half of the book. So
see,
make it out.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe not as much as Sean Bean. Like Sean Bean's like an ever aggressive tally of movie deaths that like just seems like like I don't even think he's in on the joke anymore. It's just how it is.
Okay.
all about the drama.
I gotta pop in here one more time because Sean Bean, if you haven't been watching, and actually this show just ended, but Snowpiercer on TNT.
Oh, is he in that?
Phenomenal show. Yes, he plays Wilford, the head engineer or creator of the train that everyone's on, which is like the last bastion of Sean Bean. Yep.
Okay.
And he is a jackass. I'm sorry. He is a great villain, and you love to hate him, and he does a phenomenal job in that show. Just season 2 just finished up, but go back and watch it. It's based on a comic book, a French comic book. It's the Transpierre, or I can't remember the exact. I flunked French.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But that's based on the comic book to tie it back into that. But like Snowpiercer on TNT is phenomenal. But carry on.
I actually forgot about Snowpiercer. Yeah, like I'm actually curious about that one too. You know, we're embarrassment of riches in terms of like content, in terms of comic book stuff that you can kind of get into these days, such as Shaycraft from Image Comics. Speaking, we were talking about Image books earlier. Like here we are bringing it full circle. We got a trailer for you guys. This book came out this week. This is a new #1 from Image Comics. So check out this trailer. We'll come back. I'll put you onto it a little bit more, and then we'll talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. All right. All right, and that's Shaycraft that is coming out. That's actually already out from Image Comics this week. The cool thing about this is it's Joe Henderson, who was the showrunner on Lucifer. We actually got to do an interview with him about one of his previous books, Skyward. And like I read Skyward actually, and I actually loved it. I thought it was actually really good, really breezy, a lot of like just kind of like a cool, fun concept. And it seems like we're going to get some more of that. And on top of that, he's re-collaborating, if that's a word, with Lee Garbey, the artist behind Skyward, and he's also a great artist. He kind of has like a soft anime style. He's going for like realism, but like at the same time, you can see like little bits of anime influence in like the way he draws faces and stuff like that. And on top of that, it feels animated. Like it feels like the characters are moving, which is always a really cool bonus for like for a reader when you're like checking out a comic book. Something I always appreciate. So yeah, definitely check that out. That's Shaycraft from Lee Garbey and Joe Henderson. That's in comic shops today. And Ashton, we mentioned Five Nights at Freddy's early in the show. Jack Black did that. Yeah, first of all, can you explain the Jack Black thing? Like, I don't think we have any visuals from it, but can you explain what exactly happened there with the Five Nights at Freddy video?
He was sent a bunch of promo stuff for Five Nights at Freddy's, like just merch, toys. He did some unboxings, Funko Pops, all of that stuff. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go play Five Nights at Freddy's. So he sits down to play the original one. He's like, he calls his son in the middle of it and is like, what's a good strategy? His son is just like, gives him some bull crap strategy. I tried to censor the swearing there.
It's progress, Ashton.
Right. And so he's like trying to play it. It's like, he's running out of power. It's like 5 a.m. and he goes, I'm just going to put the doors down. I think I have enough door sauce to make it to 6 a.m. Door sauce.
So was in your estimation, like you've done a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's research apparently recently. Yeah. Like in your estimation, was Jack Black's interpretation of the game accurate or not at all?
It's funny because he sits down to play and the first thing he's like, I'm susceptible to jump scares. So he immediately like even the smallest jump scare is like this gigantic, like dramatic reaction from him, which is price of admission alone. I mean, he had like a solid-ish strategy. I mean, it worked. He made it a night and a half. I don't know. Okay. I mean, you don't really need to watch the cameras as much as some people think you do. You mostly just need to camp the doors.
Okay. Look at you already. You're a filthy camper. I knew it, Ashton.
Look, so what happened was I was watching a Markiplier video, self-proclaimed king of Five Nights at Freddy's and all that garbage. And then the next thing I knew, it had been 3 days and I was just like deep in this Five Nights at Freddy's rabbit hole.
Wait, 3 days?
Like I spent the whole weekend like just in like a Five Nights at Freddy's wormhole.
What did you discover about Five Nights at Freddy's? Like what?
I feel your judgment, first of all. Second of all, it is the most wacky, like convoluted. Scott Cawthon, the creator, is just the most twisted person. This whole thing is a mess. The games are not in chronological order. Like some are prequels, some are sequels, and basically like there's this character that they call Purple Guy. His name is William Afton. He's one of the founders of Five Nights at Freddy's. He's also a serial killer. So he kills the 5 kids and puts them in the bodies of the animatronics who haunt all of these like diners.
Okay.
It's such a mess. And there's this whole thing with like he's got 3 kids. He's got the daughter, and the daughter's like in one of the animatronics at the sister location. So the oldest son goes to try and get the daughter back. He dies, and then the animatronics use his body, like they scoop out his skeleton and then use his body as like a shell so they can escape the sister location.
Oh wow!
The body decays, so they have to like flee the body.
Oh wow! Wow! Is this all in game, or is this just like backstory that's not actually in the game? Or
so some of it is like, so in the games when you die there's mini game, like 8-bit Atari style mini games that provide some of the lore, and then some of it's from the books, and a lot of it is just speculation that everyone kind of agreed on. It's like all speculation that everyone's like, yeah, that sounds good, but none of it's confirmed.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's okay. I am curious about this. Like, there's a mobile game or something, right, for Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah, there's an AR game.
Okay, I might browse Xbox Live or or Xbox Game Pass and see if that's available somewhere, or maybe even on my phone. I'm curious, and now you got my attention, Ashton. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
And then 3 days from now, I'm going to be exactly where you are, and I'm going to be like, I was wrong to judge you, Ashton. I can't see anything anymore.
It's one of those weird things where you don't mean for it to, but it's so weird that you're like, why? What is this about?
Yeah. No, you know what? I've definitely done that, so I can't judge you at all. And I've done that for probably less interesting things, to be perfectly real with you on that. So, okay, I'm down. Okay, asinine arguments with Ashton time. We got a doozy for you guys this week. I'm going to fork it over to Ashton, and we're just going to dive right in. Let's do this. Asinine arguments time.
Okay, so as Troy said, this is a doozy. The conversation surrounding toxic fandom, what causes it, and how we can fix it has reemerged. So we've asked you guys to define what you consider toxic fandom to be, what causes it, and then posit us a possible solution. So let's see what you said. Gavin says, when your own fandom is so personally defined that anyone who doesn't share your very particular points of view become the target of mockery, ridicule, and sometimes even threats of violence.
I think that's all encompassing, actually. I was actually impressed with that description.
That's a very solid definition. I'm behind that as well. Darth John Fett says toxic fandom is too much one-line opinions and not enough book reading, comic book reading in his case.
You know what? Yes. Actually, that's an even better definition. I love that one, actually.
Calvin says toxic fandom is a term made up by people who can't handle criticism. Calvin. I think he's onto something there, but I think he's got it in the wrong order.
I think. Well, what do you mean by that? Where do you think?
I don't know that the people who can't handle criticism are the ones that have selected toxic fandom, have selected that term as a definer. But toxic fandom is the people that can't handle criticism. I think that term came from someone else.
Okay, interesting. All right, what else we got?
Jason says, I know what causes it, a collection of people who need to get a life.
I also think that's very accurate, so I'm not going to knock that. Also, shout out for that SNL callback from the 90s of William Shatner on Saturday Night Live.
Jimmy says, be a chaperone, not a gatekeeper. This is the most important rule in fandom.
Yeah. I love that, actually. That's perfect.
Steve says the causes of toxic fandom are toxic people.
Respect. You know, we got a lot of answers. And I think for the most part, a lot of them are actually kind of on the money. The ones that I'll be honest with you, the ones I didn't include is where people start targeting specific groups, just because I don't think that's very useful. I saw some people who were like, oh, it's the SJWs, right? And I'm like, okay, I roll. But I also saw that people were like, oh, it's the Comicsgate people. And it's like, all right. I mean, sure, I guess. You know what I mean? Whatever. I just didn't want to make this about finger pointing just because I don't think it's very useful. And I do think there's definitely a lot of blame to go around. So, but I'm going to ask you, Ashton, because ultimately everybody gave us a definition, but nobody said, how can you fix it? So I'm curious. Well, not a lot of people did. So I'm curious, how do you fix toxic fandom? Is it fixable? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's such a big question.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a pessimist, but I don't know that there is a solution, as bad as that sounds, because as one of our commenters pointed out, toxic fandom is kind of largely born out of internet culture, and as long as that is so prevalent and we exist in this world where everyone has a voice and they can just yell into the void, there's kind of no real way around it. I mean, on a personal level, as somebody that enjoys a certain fandom or a certain topic, you can make a choice to realize those things don't define your interaction or enjoyment with a particular thing, but I don't know that there's a way to stop it.
Yeah, no, I totally feel I am guilty of engaging in, I guess, I think perceived toxicity. I think that I have a limit. in terms of like what I'm willing to like die on a hill about, how long I'm willing to argue with people. But I would say, like, I'm always game for a Marvel versus DC argument. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, I don't care how stupid it is. Like, I'm going to throw my full weight behind that argument. And it's just, but I think it's because, but it's also a line when it stops becoming fun, which can happen very quickly. But I think, to your point, I just don't think there's anything that you can really do about it. And also, to your point, or maybe, I mean, it's maybe a counter, but I think that there's a way to, there's some levels to unpack this. Like you said, it was born out of internet culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is some truth to that. But I've also seen people make the argument that, like, oh, there's always been a toxic fandom. And of course there have. Like, we've, I remember like reading, like as a kid, reading about like, creators getting death threats because they killed off Gwen Stacy, Peter Parker's girlfriend, back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, I know that the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, like, has said numerous times that his life was kind of like ruined by that character. It's one of those things where it sucks and it's wildly inappropriate, and it should never come to that. Like, I want to be very clear about that. But at the same time, how do you monitor people? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just like there's a point where I don't know. I think there's a point ultimately where I guess our responsibility as and I'm just talking about you or me, but our responsibility as fans is to recognize a toxic conversation and not give it air. Like, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And then just walk away from it. Like, I think that that's like the best thing you can do, because to that person's point earlier, toxic people cause toxic fandom. And those are deeper issues that no internet conversation, most internet conversations, are not going to fix anything.
It's not going to be productive. And that's kind of like probably the best way to approach it is like, there's no surefire way to like, wrangle up everybody and say, just don't do that. Like, that's not realistic.
No.
So I think, you got, like you said, you've got to realize like, what are the hill? First of all, what is the hill worth dying on? Second of all, are you talking to someone that's willing to have a productive conversation, or are they listening to reply?
Yeah.
And
that is great. I love that. Yeah. That's like, I've never heard that before. That's excellent. Yeah.
You need to know like kind of when to see yourself out, and you need to know like when it honestly, like, as unfortunate as it really is, like if you have all of these other people causing issues, it kind of falls on you as a fan or consumer to mitigate the impacts on yourself and know like, I like this thing. This is a thing that I'm interested in, whatever. And engaging with these people that are being frankly abusive about it is going to ruin it for me. So I need to know that it's not worth my time. And that's a hard balance to strike. It is.
And I mean, I get the knee-jerk reaction to want to defend something that you love or something that you're passionate about. But yeah, I think that, you kind of have to like look at the situation and be like, this isn't going to go anywhere. And sometimes it happens after you've already replied. Like, I'm guilty of that.
So am I.
Like, I've already replied, and now like that snowball effect is just happening.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to like, you can like, once they start like yelling back at you, you just kind of have to be like, I'm just going to log off of whatever, so I get that. I was going to ask you what was the worst fandom, but I don't even want to do that. Like, I got to be real with you. Like, I
want to hear this. Inquiring minds want to know.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what, Johnny? I'm gonna put you in the hot seat first. What's the worst? Right. What's the worst fandom according to you?
Star Wars.
This is said that like Star Wars fans are the worst. And I consider myself in that category. And I think there's an important distinction to be made here, right? Because Star Wars is so popular and it's such a giant part of like the American pop cultural landscape that you need to make the distinction between like these people that like casually know something about Star Wars and can tell you like X, Y, and Z general things about Star Wars, and like the really into it Star Wars people that want to like fact check you on the tiniest things. Those people are the worst. The people that are just like, yeah, Luke and Leia are related. They're fine. Go about your business.
Like, honestly, I used to be a much bigger Star Wars fan, and like just the way the fandom has reacted over the last couple of movies,
Mhm.
and I'm not counting the Mandalorian because like everyone seems to love that, and Baby
Yeah.
Yoda, Grogu, whatever, is just the bee's knees. God, I feel old by saying that.
Yeah,
But
that was
it's
very
just
yikes, Johnny.
hearing just the stories of, like you said, like the actor played Jar Jar Binks and Maud Best, and like how people were giving him death threats, and even in like the more recent movies, Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose,
Yeah.
was just such like like bullied and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's only until like recent when she's now gotten like a lead role in Disney's like Raya and the Last Dragon. She's
Oh,
able
okay.
to she's able to like kind of come back out of this now, but it's like not after having to go through like the living hell that Star Wars fans put her through. So
Yeah.
I think like I'm even wearing a Star Wars shirt, and I just feel like I'm betrayed my fandom. So I don't. I like it, but I don't like it. But it's just like it's the same reason why I don't like generally like organized sports. It's like the over analysis of stuff as well.
Hmm.
It's like, I can enjoy watching like the Ravens or the Orioles play, but it's when everyone's like, oh, Joe Flacco was 5 for 8 when he's on the 30-yard line and the duck farts on Utah Street and it's coming from the Southwest. I'm like, I don't care.
It's me. That's me. You're talking about me, the annoying Star Wars fan and the annoying football fan.
It's like Ashton's both of these things combined.
I don't care about your annoying little stupid statistics about every single little thing. Just like let people enjoy things for the sake of enjoying.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get like on anyone's. Well, maybe I personally don't like it. If someone wants to enjoy that like that level of detail and analysis, that's fine. But I feel like some of the toxicity also comes to kind of bring it back around, is when you get clashing groups of fandoms who like a thing, but they have different levels of expertise and knowledge about the thing.
Definitely.
Like, oh well, you don't like, you're not a true fan unless you know X, Y, Z, and this and this and this and this and this.
Like purity tests.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. I think it's interesting. I think the Mandalorian and sequel trilogy, the reactions to those two things is also kind of interesting. And I think it's interesting in that, on one hand, I actually understand and support kind of the argument that, like, you know what, some of the ways that the people who were responsible for that sequel trilogy, and I'm not talking about all of them, right? But some of the ways that people like the way that the sequel trilogy was handled, the way that certain directors handled dealing with the fans, that didn't help. That actually only helped fuel the flames.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love to reference power dynamics, when they're talking about online bullying or people bullying people online or whatever. And I kind of have these moments sometimes where I'm like, okay, from the fans, I'm like, all right, guys, y'all need to chill. It's just Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I like kind of looks at sometimes the people who are responsible for this product, and I'm kind of like, you're the producer, you're the director, like you're the writer, you're the star, like you have all the power in this dynamic, like, you know what I mean? And I'm just sort of like, you need to chill out too. Like you should actually be more aware of and maybe a little less sensitive to what people are saying about you online.
Yeah.
So I mean, I definitely see it both ways, and that's always kind of like where I have this tug of war about these things, where it's just sort of like, yeah, like I see toxic behavior from fans, but I also think that these professional creatives should be a little smarter than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think to your point, yes, this is birthed out of internet culture, but it's also something that's been going on for decades.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's exacerbated by internet culture. I don't know if it's necessarily birthed out of it.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right about that. I think that, like, we've talked about the hot takes and, like, the garbage takes and all that other stuff, and I totally agree with you on that. So I get that 100%.
I want to add something to what you're just saying, because there's a comment in our chat that actually kind of goes along with what you're saying in a sense. Jeff Studer says there's no toxic fandom. There are toxic creatives and corporations who don't care.
I feel about that. Like, I think you're onto something in that toxic creatives and corporations are certainly feeding into that. You're getting a lot of free publicity out of it, but there's a lot of it is falling on fans. They're the ones that are starting it and feeding into it the most. So there needs to be, you need to be realistic about where the blame falls, and it's not just on creators and corporations. Like Tumblr is a trash site, Twitter is a trash site, and people are all yelling into the void there. And those aren't directors and actors; it's fans. And like Troy and I both said, we're guilty of it. So we're not sitting on a throne saying all of this, but you need to be realistic about the blame.
Yeah. I get that. I respect that. I understand that. Actually, before we jump out of this conversation real quick, I wanted to give an example of toxic fandom that I think will actually make us laugh.
I hope so. I feel like we just got really in the weeds with that.
Oh, we did. I mean, it was bound to happen. But so this past weekend over at Hypebeast, and a couple other sites reported on this too, there was an article about a man who got arrested following an extensive robbery of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Amazing.
So I'm gonna try my best not to butcher these names. I might jump around a little bit and try not to say them as often. But a website called Manichi reports that Ikebukuro Police Station are currently investigating a guy named, I'll just call him Ken, a Tokyo Toshima Ward resident for breaking and entering into a trading card store to steal 80 cards from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Ken is expected to have stolen around $9,120 USD worth of trading cards and approximately $2,370 USD in cash. Now, Ken admitted to the allegation, stating that he was in a predicament and needed it to pay off a debt, which is actually kind of interesting. According to the police report, Ken attached a rope to the railing on the roof, propelling down to the 6th floor. He was able to break the store's window with a tool to gain entry. Ken was spotted on the security camera footage. Now, here's the best part. Like, this is the punchline, right? The police obtained a quote from Ken himself, stating, "I was in the rock climbing club in high school, so I wasn't afraid of heights."
What? That doesn't have to do with anything.
So, you know what? Toxic fandom. There you go. Boom. Like, I think that might be it. I think that's at the height. Mm-hmm. What are you about to say, Ashton?
Do you know how desperate you have to be to, like, here's my plan. I'm not going to break in the front door.
Right. I'm going to scale down the side of a building. I love it. Like I know, and we're just saying this is toxic, but hopefully that makes you guys laugh, because I know this toxic fandom conversation can get out of hand. But you know what? At the end of the day, just be thankful that you're not this guy. How about that? Ashton, what is this week's poll?
This week's poll is about fandom and how strongly you feel about them, particularly the Power Rangers or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, pitting these two crews against each other, who would win in a battle?
All right. And so we have here, okay, so Johnny, I'm going to ask you to come back because we're going to talk about this real quick. Johnny, you and I are kind of the same generation, so I kind of feel like maybe I know where you're going to vote on this, but who do you choose?
Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, why do you choose Power Rangers?
I'm a fan of TMNT. I grew up with it, but the Turtles don't have huge Megazords that I know of at their disposal. So I don't think that they're going to hold a candle in this battle. I'm not a Power Rangers. I'm not a Power Rangers fan by any means, but I think because of the fact that they have the Megazords, no contest.
No, I you know what, Johnny's keeping us honest here, no bias. You know what, my heart wants to say TMNT, but Power Rangers would probably murder them, to be honest.
Yeah, and let's see what everyone else says.
Where's the vote at?
60.1% says Power Rangers, with only 39.9% going with TMNT.
All right. Okay. Well, you know what? Everybody's except for the 39.9% who are delusional.
You know what, though? It's funny that you brought up the Zords, because this seems to happen every single time I do this against this poll. People always want to be like, well, is it this? Do they have this specific thing that would obviously give them an edge?
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at the comments. Antonio says, I recommend everyone to go read the TMNT and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers crossover comic. That's awesome. Kyle says, as much as I love TMNT, they don't have as easy of access to giant mechs. Let's see, Power Rangers are kind of known for fighting mutant monsters. Not even counting their Zords, they have superior weapons. And here's what Ash was saying: which team of Power Rangers, and do they have access to the Zords?
All right, that's a fair question. There are like a million different Power Rangers, so I can totally understand that.
Yeah. And GA Vlogger just says, "Cool, twice."
Twice.
All right.
Twice. All right. Okay.
Good talk.
All right. Real quick, Johnny, because we didn't talk about this last week.
Yes.
Have you seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yes, I have.
Ashton, you have not seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm assuming?
Not yet. I do actually plan to watch this one though.
But you mean Falcon? You mean the show also known as Dollar Store Captain America?
Oh, yikes. Oh.
I mean, no. I mean, that's.
Am I gonna want to watch it or no? Like,
no. I think it's gonna work. Like, I think that they're doing some interesting things there. There's interesting racial components too, which is actually kind of surprising. And on top of that, like, oh my god, the action is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I made I hot taked this past week saying that, like, you know, I got more jazzed watching like the first 5 minutes of Falcon and Winter Soldier than I did like all of Justice League.
oh, yeah.
So I mean, Johnny, you're definitely in this camp. You're with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely loving it. I love how they're bringing the John Walker character of I'm guessing it's U.S. Agent. I forget.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I love how they're bringing the U.S. Agent character into this, and going into like the further back history of like the Black Captain America with like Isaiah Bradley. So they're really digging deep into like the Captain America lore. So I love that. I love how they're doing that. And also, like you were saying, Troy, there's some interesting racial elements in there, which I thought could have played into the fact that the production got shut down partially because of the pandemic. And then they had to restart things up. And then the whole Black Lives Matter movement also happened. So it's possible that there might have been a rewrite because of what was going on in the world. I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened. That's just my working theory. But kudos to them for including those scenes in there.
Well, I do know that if I remember correctly, the showrunner is actually Black. So there might have been, a responsiveness to what's going on, or he might have just been into this idea of exploring this in general. I can't say I as much as I like enjoyed watching WandaVision in real time, this show just instantly is like, I got your attention. Like, you know what I mean? And it just kind of pulls you through. And like, they've teased some great characters already. And like you mentioned, the Isaiah Bradley thing, like shout out to them for referencing the truth. The Red, White, and Black, which is like one of those comics that like doesn't get enough play. And also just some of those deep cuts, like you said, U.S. Agent, and they've got like his sidekick and all this other stuff. It's just like a lot of cool stuff that they're kind of like tossing out there. I can't say enough positive things about it. And like, again, the action's so good. Like I am such a sucker for Marvel espionage, action, adventure stuff. Like I don't even like the alien stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. The magic stuff, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But you just give me like karate and guns. And I'm all for it. I'm totally on board. So
it feels a little bit more grounded, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. And like that's part of the reason why I feel like The Winter Soldier was such a good movie, because it's really not even that much of an actual superhero movie. It's more of a political espionage thriller.
Right. And I mean, like, you know, I feel like the Captain America's movies have been in general like I would say probably the best thing of the Marvel universe, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So yeah, I mean, yeah, no hard sell here, guys. We like it. Actually, I wanted to show Ashton this meme because I don't think she's seen this meme yet, but I thought she would get a kick out of it. Speaking of Star Wars fandoms, can you show the Winter Soldier one? So you've seen Endgame, right, Ashton?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So early on, Falcon decides that he's not going to roll with the shield, and it's because out of respect for Captain America, like he just doesn't think that he has what it takes. But I found this to be absolutely hilarious that they reference this. And we can get into the weeds about why one is okay and why one isn't the other, but I'm not going to do that right now.
Oh, God.
But I got one more Star Wars meme for you, Ashton, before we walk out of here. Johnny, can you throw this up? I love this. Because it kind of pokes a hole.
So there's the medical bot saying, for reasons we can't explain, we are losing her. Master Yoda, shall we use force field? No. Blast my ass off.
LaMayo.
Look, okay, I'm not doing this.
You're not doing this. We're about to see Ashton's toxic fandom side
I
in
know.
5.
I was really
4,
about to like,
3,
well, actually, and I'm like, I'm not.
That's middle finger. definitely just gave the middle finger to everybody. Sorry about that. Anyway, we'll move on because we'll get into the weeds about this very quickly.
Not everyone has the same. No, okay, no.
Yeah, we're gonna totally contradict ourselves if we keep going there. So
yeah,
all right,
exactly.
Ashton, comic shop shout out time. Who's the comic shop shout out this week?
This week's comic shop shout out goes to Ground Zero Comics in Tyler, Texas, and it comes from James Pickering. If you would like us to shout out your comic book store on the show, find us on social media at PREVIEWSworld. Tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We will find your post. We will shout out your shop on the show and give them some love.
All right, cool. And if you want some more toxic fandom, some more toxicity, check out our Justice League hangout. Like, there's some hot takes on that one. Let me tell you. Last Friday, we did like a hangout. It's just, it's just me and my friends, basically on the PREVIEWSworld channel, of course. Just talking about our reactions to Justice League. Some of us loved it. Some of us didn't. Some of us are kind of like, but we have some interesting conversations about the key difference between Marvel and DC, which of course is one of my favorite toxic conversations. So next week, King in Black is ending, and it just so happens that we're going to have another roundtable hangout next week, where I will be talking with Eli Schwab and his crew from Can I Thwip It podcast. And we're going to talk about the outcome of King in Black and like the grand finale, and also just things we loved about it, things that maybe we didn't love so much about it, and our fan theories. But I think it'll be a great discussion, especially if you're following what is clearly a Marvel event. So a lot of you are already paying attention to it. And outside of that, follow, subscribe. Just want guys to remind you, and not just here at PREVIEWSworld, but also follow Ashton over at Free Comic Book Days, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. To keep up to date on the comings and goings of Free Comic Book Day. And it's just one day a year, but at the same time, there's still a lot to keep track of and a lot that's going on, as Ashton will attest. And that's it for PREVIEWSworld Weekly, guys. I've been one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And we will see you guys at the spinner rack. We'll catch you later.
Don't forget that you can catch PREVIEWSworld Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at PREVIEWSworld on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.